Straight all day.
You're now tuned into the show. You learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy, which moves any of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to create assets in your business. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that, and also, of course, how to actually do it. Now, before we get into that, though, let me tell you about it. I have a daily motivation text that I send out free of charge every single day to everyone who's in my text community. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. You want to receive that text, which I think you will, all you got to do is text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894, and every single day when I send out that daily motivation, you, who's in my text community, shall receive. Secondly, if you have not yet gotten your ticket to my next live event called Work on Your Game Live, it's taking place February 3rd and 4th in Miami, Florida. Get your ticket to that event because we're going to be covering mindset, strategy, systems, and execution for you to step up your performance, the consistency of that performance, and get the rewards that come with it. That is what is going to happen at that event. I guarantee all of it. You're not going to leave that room without a full strategy and plan for how you're going to move forward. Go to workonyourgame.live, get your ticket to the event while supplies last. And number 3, if you would like to be coached by me, I have one coaching program. Go to workonyourgame.net. You can watch that training, and a button will come up at the end where you can schedule time to get on a call with me, or you can just go to workonyourgame.net/apply. You can bypass the training and just go straight to scheduling the time with me. There's a quick application you need to fill out so we know who you are, what you're about, before we get on a call with you. And on that call, if you sound like a good fit, then I'll tell you what the program is, how it works, how you can get in it, and what it will look like. Again, those are the 3 housekeeping notes. Now let's get into the topic. The topic, once again, today is how to create assets in your business. So today what we're going to talk about are the mindsets around creating assets in your business, and tomorrow we're going to talk about the actions of creating assets in your business. This is a deep enough topic that I'm going to break it up into multiple episodes. So first of all, let's get a definition of the word asset. Definition of asset is a useful or valuable thing, person, or quality. So anything that's basically you're putting something on the table, you are an asset. A thing that puts something on the table, a person, or a quality that puts stuff on the table is an asset. So for example, discipline and confidence are assets because they help you, they're useful and valuable to you. Well, if they are useful and valuable to you, they become assets. If you're a person who makes a situation better, you're an asset to a family or a team or a community or a thing. What's a thing that can be an asset? For example, your car can be an asset if you need to get from one side of town to the other side of town. Your car can be an asset in that particular situation because it helps you do the thing that you need to do. It's useful or valuable to you, at least in that moment. Now, other times it could be not an asset, but you get the point. And in financial terms, an asset is very simply something that puts money in your pocket. That's it. If it puts money in your pocket, it's an asset. If it takes money out of your pocket, it is a liability. So this is where, and this is not specifically what we're going to talk about here today, but this is where many people get some bad ideas in their minds about what assets and liabilities are because they don't understand the simple definition of what an asset and liability is on a balance sheet. Again, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talked about this, and this is why he created the cash flow quadrant and all these things to help people understand this, because there are some ideas, some dreams that have been sold to us, especially in the United States of America, as to what an asset is and what a liability is. For example, jewelry and cars are on a financial statement, they are liabilities because they don't put money in your pocket except or unless when you sell them. Otherwise, they are costing you money, especially a car. A house, for example, is costing you money. You're paying for the maintenance, you're paying for the repairs, you're paying for the taxes, the property taxes, you're paying the mortgage if you're paying one. All those things are costing you money. So for the most part, it's a liability. It's not an asset. It's an asset only if and when you are able to sell it, and then you got to compare it to what you paid for it and what you spent on it. So this is, again, different conversation for a different day. It's not the whole topic here today, not the topic at all here today. What we're going to talk about today is building assets, which are things that will continually put money in your pocket even after you have done the work to create or obtain them. So unless you actually build houses with your bare hands or with your teams, that's not what we're talking about here today. So point number one, topic once again is how to create assets in your business. We're talking about the mindsets of assets. Then we'll talk about the tangible side in tomorrow's episode. Number one, focus on work that pays you back over and over again. That's what you need to do. Focus on work that pays you back over and over again. This is how you build assets in your business. What kind of work can pay you even after you've finished doing the work? This is what asset building is about. Just this alone. If you just get this and you can find more ways to do more of this type of work, then you're on the right track. Ideally, you want to spend as much time as possible building and tending to assets in your work. It doesn't matter what kind of work you do. You just want to build assets, things that are useful even after you've done doing the tactic, the exercise, the movement, the work, whatever it is. So you don't want to be spending too much time on maintenance tasks, for example, in your business, like doing things that are necessary to be done, but they're not necessarily asset building. So for example, replying to emails, updating your website, designing some graphics for a post that's going to go on your Instagram. Those things may all be necessary for your business, but they're not asset building. They take up a certain amount of time and energy and attention from you, but after you get done doing them, are they going to pay you back over and over and over again? No, they are just useful in the moment that you're doing them. So those are not asset building activities. And the challenge for many business people, whether you own a business or not, is that many of us spend way too much time doing maintenance level tasks and not enough time, because we're doing all this maintenance level tasks, not enough time doing asset building tasks, things that will pay us back more than once, even though we only had to do the work one time. So these are things that you want to try to phase out of your schedule. Doesn't mean they won't get done, but just get them off of your calendar. Ideally, you can hire other people to do this kind of stuff. Now, you as the main person, you want to be working on asset building, because usually you're the best asset builder there is. You're probably the one who is most qualified to do the asset building work in your business, and it's the most valuable use of your time. So looking back at what we talked about in the previous episode, a couple episodes ago, this is something that you can plan for, even if you cannot put it all into action today. You can at least start planning for doing this stuff, even if you can't do it right now. So you can see how all this stuff starts to interconnect, right? I still have things that I do in my business that are not asset building at work, but I have a plan for which things I can pass off, to who I can pass it off to, and when I will be able to pass it off, so I can focus more of my time on asset building. So again, none of us will probably ever get to a point where all we do, actually maybe some people do, get to a point where the only thing you do is asset building stuff. We all probably have to do some maintenance level stuff every single day. But ideally, you want to be doing as little of it as possible. And any of it that you're doing is taking up a significant amount of your resources, like time, attention, energy. You want to at least start planning for, how would you pass this off? Who would you have doing it? Is it clear? Do you have a system or process in place for it, so that if you did pass it off to somebody, they would actually know what to do with it? All of those things you need to start thinking about, even if you don't have anyone else you can pass the work off to just yet. Because the most valuable use of your time is in building assets. So this is a mindset, is understanding that this is where I need to be spending my time. Here's where I'm spending my time right now. How do I reconcile the difference between these two? Everybody get that? Point number two. Today's topic, once again, is how to create assets in your business. This is the mindset side. Number two, spend less time on junk food work. What is junk food work? Well, everybody knows what junk food is, right? What's junk food? It's like potato chips, soda, candy. All right. Junk food work is work that you do now, and it might even pay you now, but it does not have any lasting power. That's junk food work. Meaning it's only useful in the moment that you're doing it, and then it has no use after that. So it basically comes and goes like junk food. All right, junk food is enticing. I'm talking about actual junk food. Is enticing for what reason? Because everybody likes cake, ice cream, chips, soda, and candy. We all like that stuff. That's why it exists. That's why the companies that make that stuff make a lot of money every year, because people keep buying it, even though we know logically it's not good for us. But we keep buying it anyway because we like it, because we're human. Everybody likes at least one of these. So there's a reason that junk food is junk food, because it's very enjoyable in the moment, The challenge with junk food, the long-term challenge with junk food, is that it doesn't have any long-lasting benefit. So in episode 777, I talked about the concept of time perspective, meaning, and what it is the further out into the future that a person can think about the ramifications of their actions, the more successful that person is in a general sense. And the shorter timeline that a person thinks about the ramifications of their actions, the less successful they are. So the longer the time perspective, the more successful the person. The consumption of junk food and the time spent on junk food work is a reflection of a short time perspective when it comes to your career and your business. So a person who eats a whole lot of junk food is not thinking long term about their body and their life. I mean, in the moment, all they're thinking about is how they're going to feel right now in the moment. Problem is, you're going to feel worse in the future based on making decisions that were all based on the moment. All right, this is why time perspective matters so much, is how often are you thinking about the future when you make a decision versus how much you're just thinking about right now when you make a decision. It's the same thing in your business. If you spend a lot of time doing junk food work, yeah, it feels good right now. The problem is tomorrow and next week and next month and next year, you're going to have problems because all you made were junk food decisions last year or last week or yesterday. So what you want to be focusing on in your business is whole foods, so to speak, of work. Not junk food work, but whole food work. And understand that whole foods are not as sexy or as fun as junk food in the moment, but they are worth more in the long run. So eating fruits and vegetables will help your body in the long run more than eating some fried chicken and candy and ice cream. Even though the fried chicken, candy, and ice cream will probably be more exciting in the moment, more fun for you in the moment, in the long run, you know which one is worth more. And this is a discipline. And I just told you in episode number 2366 that every discipline challenge is a structural challenge. So any of you who have a challenge with enacting this discipline, understand something. You don't need to motivate or discipline yourself to do things this way. All you need to do is structure things so that they work this way. So this is a structure issue. When you change the structure of what you're doing, then it's much easier to be disciplined because you set things up to make the discipline part easier. Challenge for many people when they think their issue is discipline is that you just have a very poor structure, a very flimsy system that doesn't make your discipline easy. And this is what slows a lot of people down. So you think your problem is, I'm not disciplined enough, I'm not focused enough, I'm not motivated enough. That's not your problem. Your problem is you haven't set yourself up to get those things done the right way. The problem with that is you are unqualified to be the one who sets it up. This is why you invest in yourself, folks. This is why you buy books, you buy courses, you go to events, you hire coaches, you do these things so that you can get the insight into how to set these things up in the right way that they actually work for you. The challenge that many people have, many of you listening to me now, is that you've conditioned yourself to believe you could just do everything on your own. And that you should just figure everything out on your own. The good news is, eventually, if you're smart enough and you think hard enough and focus on it long enough, you will eventually figure everything out on your own. The bad news is it will take you a very long time. Therefore, you will not have enough time to do the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing. Because everything you come up upon, you're going to face this kind of challenge. And if you need to figure it out on your own each time, and you need to take that much time each time, eventually you're going to run out of time. And time is the one resource that you can't replace. This is why you use your money to buy time. All right, I've talked about this on this show right here. We call that investing in yourself. You don't need to motivate or discipline yourself to do things. What you need is to structure things the right way. And again, don't try to figure out how to structure things. Go to someone who already knows how, pay them, and let them show you how to do it. So you are buying yourself time by doing that. That is what investing in yourself is, buying time. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to create assets in your business. Number 3. Some of the things that you want to turn into assets can be the same work that you're doing right now, but it must be made such that the things that you're doing have lasting power and are still valuable and useful 1 year or 5 years from today. So you can take the same things you're doing now and figure out, how do I make this valuable and useful a year or 5 years from now? The mindset of creating assets for your business is you want to be creating things that you will not have to create over and over again, but will continue working for you even after you finish doing the work. Again, that's the definition of an asset. And when you swap out working for you for producing money, then you have a financial asset. So you want something that's producing money for you over and over again, that's a financial asset. You want something that's working for you over and over again, you got a work asset. Some of your business assets, however, may not produce money for you directly, but they lead to the things that do produce money, and thusly they are still assets because they're leading to the thing that leads to the thing. So tomorrow we're going to talk about some actions specifically that you can take and some things you can have in place that will be or lead to having assets for your business. So for example, when I think about assets in my business, to give you an example here, what we're talking about in point number 3, sometimes I will appear on other people's platforms. Someone has a podcast or a YouTube show or a radio show, or I might do a guest article, a guest blog post, things like that. I don't get paid directly for doing those things, but doing those things exposes me to a larger audience of people, and that larger audience of people will include some people who will buy something from me. So it's an indirect asset in that doing this thing, appearing on other people's platforms, leads to things that actually make me money. Now the thing is, how do you know when you have one of these indirect assets? You have to put enough time in the game and get enough experience in the things that you're doing to see what are the patterns. Doing this leads to this, which leads to that. But you have to get enough, a large enough sample size to be able to say, I know that doing this is going to lead to this. The challenge for many people is that they don't ever get a large enough sample size because they don't put enough time into the game before you make a decision about killing something off, or should I do more of this thing. You got to put enough time in the game so that you actually know and you're not guessing as to whether something leads to something. I know that when I appear on other people's platforms, it usually leads to me doing more business with people who come into my world already warm, because the know, like, and trust factor is already there. Now, I'm not earning their trust. They already know who I am because they heard me on someone else's show. They already trust me because I was on that other person's show. And now they're coming into my world. All right, they're ready to go right now. I can make them an offer immediately. So these are the things you got to be thinking about. So with all that said, let's recap today's class, which is how to create assets in your business. We're talking about the mindset side of it. Definition of an asset is a useful or valuable thing, person, or quality, and a financial definition is anything that puts money in your pocket. Point number 1, focus on work that pays you back over and over again. This is what building an asset is all about. Ideally, you want to spend all your time tending to assets, building and tending to assets, but it doesn't always work out that way. But you at least want to start offloading things that you don't need to be doing to someone else who can take their time and actually do that thing. You should not be doing everything in your business. If you're doing everything, you're already doing too much. So for example, when I reply to emails, and but for example, some of the things that people do that are not asset building is replying to emails, updating websites, designing graphics. All right, you can hire somebody else to do those things. Not that they don't need to be done, it's just that you as the main asset builder in your business shouldn't be spending your time doing it. So looking back at yesterday's episodes, there's something that you can plan for even if you can't put it all into action today. So you'll start to notice when you think back how all this stuff interconnects. I still have things that I do that are not asset building tasks at my work, but I have a plan for when I can pass those things off to someone other than me. Point number 2, spend less time on junk food work. All right, you do it now and it may even pay you now, but it has no lasting power. That's junk food. All right, make sure you're not doing too much junk fooding. I talked about this in episode 777. We talked about time perspective. The further into the future one projects the ramifications of their actions, usually the better decisions they make in the short term. And the opposite is also true. Unless someone thinks about the long term, they make all the decisions based on the short term. They make decisions that are mediocre at best. Sometimes they get lucky and they make a great decision, and often they make a mediocre, middling decision. Why? Because people don't understand this concept of time perspective. They also don't think about, all right, where are my assets in my business and where should I spend most of my time? This is a discipline. I told you about this in episode 2366, is that every discipline challenge is a structural challenge. You got to motivate and discipline yourself to do the things a certain way. So when you need to structure things, they go how you want them to go, and you have it set up in such a way that you make it easy for yourself. Point number 3, this can be the same work that you're doing right now. The asset stuff can be the same as the liability stuff or the junk food stuff that you're doing now. The thing is, you got to set it up such that the stuff you're doing now has lasting power. All right, the mindset of creating assets for your business is you want to be creating things that you will not have to create over and over again, but you'll continue making money for long after you have finished doing the work. That is the definition of an asset. And you can swap out things like working for you for producing money. Then you have a financial asset. Some of your business assets may not produce money for you directly. Like, for example, if I appear on somebody's show, it doesn't produce money for me directly, but those appearances usually lead to stuff that do lead to money. So you gotta, if you work backwards looking at these things, you may start noticing what are some things that I can do that will actually help me do more business, even if you do it in an indirect way. So tomorrow we're going to talk about some actions specifically that you can take and some things you can have in place that will be or lead to having assets in your business. All I said, text me to get my daily motivation to my number 305-384-6894. Right now, tomorrow you'll get the daily motivation. Second, get your ticket to Work on Your Game Live by going to workonyourgame.live. That's a 2-day event. Mindset, strategy, systems, and execution will be covered at that event amongst a bunch of other stuff. And you want to be in the room. We're going to have food and drinks in there. We're going to have dinner both nights, a VIP dinner for those of you who want to get an additional ticket to that. And it's in Miami. Who doesn't want to come to Miami in the middle of the summer? Exactly. And number 3, if you have not yet watched my free training, 5 shifts that help 6-figure earners go to 7 figures, go watch that training for free at workonyourgame.net. It's 45 minutes long. At the end of that training, a button's going to pop up that allows you to schedule a time to get on a call with me. And we can talk about how we can implement these things in your business specifically. Workonyourgame.net is the website. Work on your game. Dre all day.